one of the first things that I noticed about Nancy that really caught my eye was that when she did the first challenge, I think it was, you guys were on the road for part of the challenge. You were able to do the challenge just the way it was. Hey guys, Sherry here. So much fun going on in my household. You guys know, I don't know, you maybe don't know, but we just moved into a new place. So we're in my new little office here. I wanted to show you how the twins are doing good, but getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I wanted to mention before we get into this video is gonna be super awesome. It's from Nancy, our recipe creator, who does our creation for the 21-day challenges. By the way, there is a 21-day challenge open for registration right now, you guys, right now. So if you're watching this, make sure you click the link below. I'm gonna have one above as well. Go register. You're not gonna be able to get back into this one after just a couple days. Super awesome recipes, meal plans, grocery list to keep you on track for your 21-day Eat to Live journey, and then well into the future as well. So make sure you register. You're gonna love this one and all the camaraderie that happens in the Facebook group and everything too, okay? Make sure you register for the 21-day challenge. Let's get back to the video and meet Nancy, find out who she is, and then hear about her Nutritarian journey. Hey guys, Sherry from The Watering Mouth here. I have another awesome interview for you today, and this is our beloved Nancy. Nancy, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do interviews with successful nutritarians because I think it's so great to hear strategies and to hear the nutritarians who kind of just like, this is just their way of life and they've just gotten to this place. How did they get there? And so that's what we're going to be talking about with Nancy today. Now, the reason I'm interviewing Nancy is because she is a big part of our community now. If you don't know, back in, I think it was the June challenge of last year, 2019, Nancy came on board with me to help me develop recipes for the challenge because I was swamped and because the challenges are actually a pretty big job to put together. And creating the recipes, testing the recipes, putting them together, creating the challenge, all that kind of stuff, plus marketing and launching and doing all the customer service and all the Facebook group commenting, it quickly became a little bit too much for me to handle. So out of thin air, just out of the blue, I received an email from this wonderful woman who said, basically in a nutshell, I love what you do. I've been watching your stuff. Is there any way I could help you? She was interested in something I had said before, which was about a podcast from a woman named Brooke Castillo, who has the Life Coach School podcast, which is the life coach school that I got my certification from. She said she loved it. She wanted to know more about it. I told her, and she said, can I help you with anything? And I said, yes. Do you make recipes? Do you think you could? And so she just jumped in. I mean, literally, like, I barely even had to train this woman. She just jumped in and like a pro took over the challenge. And you know what's interesting is sometimes when you're doing something and you think, oh my gosh, this is so hard. No one else is going to ever be able to do this. I'm stuck in this for the rest of my life. It's going to be so hard. And Nancy was just like, what are you talking about? This is fine. I'll help you. No problem. It was just like a match made in heaven. And so many people have loved her recipes, and we talk back and forth. We work on the recipes together, but really most of this is her genius now, her zone of genius, as we call it, the recipes part and putting together the challenges and stuff. So the interesting part was that Nancy actually also wanted to get a life coaching certification because she had been a life coach before and she wanted to kind of up her game. So I told her about my certification and she said, I want to do that too. I said, great, because you know what? Now, guys, you don't know this background stuff, but this past year in 2019, you guys all know I am a private coach for the Eat to Live lifestyle. This is what I do. This is my main wheelhouse. I love coaching people. Since I've got my life coaching certification, the program has turned into this super effective, amazing program. And it's changed my life, this type of coaching, and it's changed the lives of my clients. But there's too many clients, which is such a good problem to have. But so many people reached out to me last year for coaching, and I just have not been able to contact people because there's too many, which I love this problem, but it means that I've got to find a way to be more efficient and touch more people at one time with these messages. And so kind of all came together, and Nancy is almost finished with her certification now too. So we're going to be certified in the same method, and she's just a phenomenal coach too. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Nancy, not only in the way of just what she does for me with the recipes, but as a future coach with me too, because I'm going to find ways to do group coaching and bigger groups and to contact more of you guys with these messages as possible. So that's kind of our flowery, wonderful intro to Nancy. And I've just been so thankful to have her with me. And I wanted you guys to know what our partnership is like as well and what you can expect from us in the future. So that being said, we are going to move into the sort of interview part of this. We can get to know Nancy a little bit more, but just hear about her her experience with the Nutritarian diet and then how she's successful and how she has been successful. So Nancy, would you mind starting telling us a little bit about like where you came from and how you found Eat to Live?
Sure. I have not eaten animals for years, probably since 2004. I had done it one other time, but since then, I've been consistent since then. And always been interested in nutrition and just different ways of eating, and knowing that when I eat plants, I feel the best.
Yeah.
I think a friend of mine introduced me to Eat to Live maybe 6 years ago or so, 10 years ago. I remember having the book, but I don't ever remember much about it. So I didn't really get into it. I've been interested in a lot of different, ways of doing the plant-based lifestyle, but found Sherry's videos probably 2 years ago now, and binged on them and just really enjoyed watching her journey and seeing how she changed over time, what she left behind, and what worked for her. So
yeah. And also I just remembered too, because I interviewed you before that even for your experience with the challenge too,
right.
because that was actually our first sort of talk. Was you had done the 21-day challenge, you had such great success, and then I interviewed you to find out more about that.
Yep.
And then that's kind of how we started.
That's
but
right.
Sorry, go ahead with where
That's
you were.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you introduced the challenge, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And so I did the challenge, and I think I released about 7 pounds. I had already been adjusting some things over the year, so I think I had probably released about 20 pounds, and then started the year with the challenge, and 7 more pounds gone. And I really was shocked at what I think was the simplest thing in the world was greens. Just eat more greens. I mean, I've always eaten salads, love salads, but they hadn't been, twice the size of my head yet. So
yeah, totally.
that, even though I had been part of a program that talked about, eating greens 5 times a day and whatnot, but it was the volume of raw greens that made the difference, I really believe. So, and I'd been making green smoothies for a while, but again, not as green as
not Sherry size. Not Sherry
or
size.
large.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that challenge, did the March challenge, and then had great success with that too. Probably released 5 more pounds. Really got into exercise last year. I travel with my husband, so I have the opportunity to be in gyms, and I just did some different programs. So I reached out to you, and I think it was May, and said, I've got time on my hands because I'm in the hotel room a lot. And that's when that transpired. So since then, I have less time on my hands, but because I've started the life coach school, and Sherry has all sorts of projects for me to do all the time.
Yeah, you have no idea, woman.
She'll text me and say, I was thinking about, I have an idea, and what do you think about? Here we go.
Do you have time? Do you think maybe? Yeah.
Well, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So really been enjoying doing things from this side of it, if you will, creating recipes. I've always loved cooking since I came out of my mama, I think I was cooking. The first thing I remember doing was baking a cake for my mom when I was 6.
Wow.
Yeah, obviously she helped me, but so baking was really what I loved to do, and um, did. I was a catering major and home ec major with a catering concentration in college, and so worked for lots of different caterers and different things. So I was familiar with, putting together foods, and so I think that's why this just was, once you learn the G bombs and you learn the elements, then you can just put them in, move them around, and
Yep.
play with it. So
Yep.
it's fun. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah. We've just had such a fun partnership as well. And you were reminding me about the travel thing or whatever. So I definitely want to touch on that here. Now, you are married and your children
Are grown.
are gone, and your husband travels for work, and it's an interesting like schedule because he sort of gets assignments, and then you guys like you have no idea where you're going, like literally
Exactly.
until the day you have to go. Then you're
Exactly.
out for maybe a week or two or a month or a few months in a hotel.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Correct.
typically what happens with Nancy is her husband will get assigned somewhere and then they'll just take a road trip. So one of the first things that I noticed about Nancy that really caught my eye was that when she did the first challenge, I think it was, you guys were on the road for part of the challenge for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days of the challenge. And you were able to do the challenge just the way it was laid out successfully, and you still lost weight. So that's kind of what I want to shift here a little bit, because your kids are out of the house. It's just you and your husband, and you've got this system down. So tell me about some of the things you do, like your experience with road trips, and then we'll get to kind of how you work it in your hotels.
Sure. So road trips, we're usually 2 days on the road, generally. And so I'll make smoothies. So we have, sometimes I'll just have smoothies all day. We travel separately because he travels in his company van and I take our car so I can take our dogs with us. So, and all my stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll make smoothies, and I found Subway is a great resource because they do chopped salads. So if I don't have time to do a salad, I will stop there. And you won't find me without tahini and balsamic vinegar in my possession because that's what I use for my dressings when I'm traveling.
Yep.
Or when I go to a restaurant. So otherwise, like when it's reversed, when we're leaving the hotel, I try to use up everything I have. Or as we head out, if I have a lot of salad ingredients, I just make a huge chopped salad, put it in a couple gallon size baggies, and that'll last us for 3 or 4 days if I need it to. Like once we get to the hotel, I've already got something, and it really lasts. I'm surprised. I don't on a normal basis chop my salads that far in advance, but anyway, so we just put everything in a salad, and we'll stop and have a salad mid-afternoon. And then if we're in a restaurant, it's usually at dinner time when my husband likes to eat something hot for a dinner. So I usually have another salad or a baked potato or steamed vegetables or something simple.
And when you do those salads and you put them in the bags, do you keep out wet ingredients like cucumbers or tomatoes, or do you find that they do well for 2, 3, 4 days?
Yeah, I haven't had any problem with them. Yeah, it's just easier to put everything in a bag because
Yeah.
everything has to be compact and simple as possible. So I just
Yeah.
throw everything,
And
fruit,
you
whatever.
have a cooler then. So do you have the ice packs, or do you get ice from hotels, or what do you do?
We do ice.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got ice packs too, but I usually do a combination of, like when we're leaving from the house, I'll do a couple bags of ice and the ice packs because my husband will use those when on his days for lunch. He'll use the ice pack, so I'll have those with us. We take sparkling waters. Yeah, but when we leave the hotel, then I get ice there, or I'll go get a bag of ice if I need to. We actually take a couple coolers. We've got his small one and a large one that's usually with me.
Okay.
And then actually 3 coolers, because then I do a small one on my seat too, so that I can get to fruit or my smoothie if I need to. So
Okay.
kind of staging there.
So you have also done, because some of the challenge was overnight oats. So you do, like,
Yep.
would you make 2 smoothies at a time, or would you be as adventurous to make 3, or do you just do 2 at a time? And overnight oats, what do you do?
Yep. For smoothies, I usually will do 2 large Vitamixes full. So I
Okay.
sometimes I can get 4
Yeah.
smoothies. I've done 6 sometimes, I just make enough that I can do 6 so that Kent will have some and my husband will have some and I'll have some.
Okay.
Um, and then overnight oats, yeah, I've done a, a bunch of those. He
Yeah.
loves it. So that's real simple. I mean, I'll make 4 or 6 at a time because they're easy enough in a half pint or in a pint jar,
Yeah.
a white pint jar, and just have them ready. And then if he doesn't eat them on the road, he likes them cold, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Then we'll have them when we first start at the hotel. It's nice to have some food when we get there,
Okay.
so I don't have to work out
So
right away.
if you're talking 6 smoothies, that's like 3 days worth of smoothie kind of max is what you deal with. Yeah, because I find 2-3 days is kind of the
Yeah,
flavor that
yep,
starts to go a little bit. But yeah, and the overnight oats is such a great way. And even having overnight oats for lunch, like there's no dinner
yeah.
or whatever, there's no problem with that. The thing I want to talk about is what you're not doing when you're on a road trip, which is saying, oh, we've got to stop for gas and get snacks, or oh, we've got to stop at fast food or something like that. Like, I imagine there's an amount of kind of like mental decision making before you do
Mhm.
this. That, because I know when I go on road trips and I really want to stick to what I'm doing, I have a conversation with myself that's like, no, we're just doing this. We're done. We don't need, we get to the gas station. Even if I'm hungry, it's okay. We got fruit in the car, whatever, you have having these talks with yourself. How did you get to that place? Like, cause I imagine, your husband's doing this job for a long time, and maybe there was times where you kind of just fast food and stuff like that. So how'd you get to this place where you're comfortable with just that being what you eat on a trip?
Just over time traveling, um, it. I mean, I don't even think about getting snacks at a at a you know gas station or going through fast food. It just doesn't cross my mind. It's not an
Yeah.
option for me.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, even if Wendy's has salad or whatever, I don't because it's not big enough. So
Yeah.
I'd have to get 4 or 5.
Did
So
you did you in the past, did you guys have habits like that where you would go out to eat a lot on the road, or was it more like, did it have to do with budgetary things too? Like, how did you get to that place where you just don't even consider fast food?
um,
Or
it's
was it
probably
also because you were plant-based for so long too that like,
yeah.
yeah,
That's probably it.
yeah.
That because we've only been doing this job for about 3 years.
Okay.
So the whole time I was pretty much
Yep.
getting close. I was definitely plant-based and pretty much getting towards nutritarian. So it's just there's not options.
Yeah.
So I just don't even think about it. It's funny you mentioned fast food. I was thinking the other day, it doesn't even occur to me to stop at whatever and get something. There's just
Yeah.
because there's nothing that I want. I really don't want it,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
helpful too because it's been so long since I've had.
In a video, I don't know if I published it yet or not. It's going to go live, but I was talking about what you do on an airplane, because
Mhm.
usually airplane travel isn't very common for most of us. And so airplanes are typically to do with vacations or something where you're kind of going off schedule, you're going off of your routine. And so that travel kind of creates this weird, like, we're in the twilight zone right now. We can eat whatever we want, right? Like, calories don't count if you're out of your home zip code. What's that? What's that?
Magic thinking, I call it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? Like it doesn't matter because we're on vacation or whatever, or it's okay because we're on vacation. And so I had to go through a big transition of, and it took a lot of flights, it took a lot of vacations to work through this. That, like, just because I'm on vacation doesn't mean anything, right? Like, I
Mhm.
don't have to make that mean that it's free for all time, right? It can just be the same exact thing I did at home. But here, yeah, it was actually the video I did about my trip to Phoenix recently that I was talking
Mhm.
about. that thing. Like, you don't have to have anything different happen. You just stick to your same schedule. You do the
Mhm.
same thing, and, you do the best you can. And if you're coming from not having done that before, where like when you go on an airplane, you always get the pretzels, right? Like, it's free. Like, you always get the Coke. Why not? It's free, right? Going from that thought pattern to, you take your first flight where you go, let me just see what happens if I don't get anything.
Mhm.
Right? Or let's just see if I don't get the drink this time, see how that feels. And then, you're done with the flight and you're like, wait a minute, I'm still alive, right? I didn't get the Coke. It was fine. And
Yeah.
you're starting to prove to yourself that it's possible to do something that different than what you've always done.
Mhm.
And this is kind of that theme of just keep going. Like, some of these attempts might not be very good and you might feel guilty, or you might fall off for a while or whatever. But it is about strengthening that decision making and strengthening those processes. And for you, you know, you've only been doing this for 3 years. So that makes it, you kind of had that benefit there. But if, like, let's say you're the opposite and you've been traveling for 10 years and now you got to try something new, it's the same thing as if you were living at home and now trying something new.
Mhm.
If you never traveled and now you're trying something new at home, it's just breaking patterns. And
Right.
breaking patterns can be a long thing, but it is just chipping at it little by little,
Mhm.
changing those patterns.
That is true, but I've also found that um, if I want to challenge myself, like the last trip, I think I told you about this, the last trip we took, I didn't get to eat until about 2 o'clock because
Yes.
we just didn't stop, and I didn't want to get into the smoothie on the road and,
Yeah.
while I was driving. So I didn't eat till 2, and I got to the hotel then the next day and I was like, I didn't need breakfast. I didn't die. It was okay. So then for a while, I just challenged myself to push the window of my eating and did some intermittent fasting ish. It wasn't
Yeah.
exactly pure, but anyway. So I just kind of played with that for a while and didn't have breakfast for a while, but I'm back to it because I've just decided, okay, I'm just changing things up
Yeah.
in that way with timing and with the kinds of foods. Like, I didn't have oatmeal for probably that month because I would just have a big meal in the middle of the afternoon and then maybe a little bit of something later.
Yeah.
So I didn't have smoothies for a while, but I'm back to them, and I like smoothies. They
Yeah.
work for me. It's a
and
great way to
and
get.
what's happening there, what's important here is that what's happening there is you having the agency to choose. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
having the ability to just say, I'm going to do this thing that I want to do, and that's it, instead of
Right.
the brain taking over and going, no, you're craving, you have to have a cookie right
Right.
now, or you've got to stop at this gas station that's coming up, and you're going to have, all the things you usually like to have, you're going to get all of those and you're going to eat them all. And this kind of a thing where we think we actually don't have a choice. But the place that you're at is a beautiful place to get to, with knowing that, like, you can experiment. You can try to not have breakfast for a while and then see what happens, and then you can go back to having breakfast, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, right? It's like when I did the 10 and 20 challenge and Dr. Furman's, and it was like, that was 3 meals a day. And I had kind of always intermittent fasted anyways, just being a college student and stuff. I'd get up, at 10 or 11 every day anyways. So having breakfast at noon was nothing to me. But when I did the 10 and 20, I was like, oh, I'm actually going to try 3 meals a day and see what happens. I was terrified I was going to gain a bunch of weight eating 3 meals a day. Like, what? And I did it and I lost weight. And I was like, oh, you actually can configure these things differently, and
Yeah.
it's totally fine, right? Yeah. So that process of, like, learning that stuff over time as you go. And so tell me about your hotel strategies, because you must have things, if you got to be ready to go at any moment, you must have things pretty well packed up, your system. And what's it like at hotels for you?
Yeah. We carry 2 boxes, 2 bins that I put staples and stuff in. And so once we get there, I'll take the pantry items, some of the pantry items out, depends on how much storage we have.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just have the bins under the table and pull it out.
Yeah.
But I just pretty much the first thing if I finish up any food that we had left over from the trip, and then I find the grocery store, whether it's the last place we were at had a Kroger, didn't have many other options, but it was fine. Kroger was great. So I get to shop at different stores, which is fun.
Yeah.
Some cities have a lot more options than others.
Right.
But anyway, then I get my greens, and I just, it's like we're home. Yeah.
Yeah. You just do the routine.
Yep. My husband does like if we're in, Texas, he'll want to get barbecue or whatever. So we do go out to dinner maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week. And again, I'll either pre-eat or I'll get a salad there or steamed vegetables or whatever. And I'm not a purist. I'll have French fries every once in a while, or, something that, but I'll have chips at the table, whatever, but I'm okay with that. It's not like I have the mindset that it's going to send me on a binge or it's going to send me down a path that I don't want to go. It's just, okay, I'm choosing this. Like last night, we went out and for my daughter's birthday, and I chose to eat some fries, some sweet potato fries that my other daughter had. And, I had 5 or 6 and it was fine.
Yeah.
So if I had thought that I could do that years ago, I would have said that I wouldn't. That, the mindset then was, if I get started, I'm, going to go down this path. But I'm like proving to myself that it's okay. And my eating is fine today. It didn't send me off into crazy land. And even if it did, I'm going to be okay. I've got skills. I've got mindset techniques that'll help me. I think that permission granted to, I don't have to be perfect at this. No one's perfect at it except for Dr. Furman. God bless him. But, we get back on track. We tweak, we live.
Yeah. I think there's a big message there, which is very hard to explain to someone who hasn't gotten into the mindset stuff yet. But it's the idea that it's a really slippery topic. It's a really slippery idea when you first hear it. But if you think you're going to binge, you're going to. If you think you probably won't binge, you're probably not going to. It's literally just how you think of it, right? Like,
powerful.
Like if you think you're going to succeed, you will. If you think you're going to fail, you will. And this concept is so hard to hold on to in the beginning because it just doesn't make any sense. Because we believe the thought, if I have one, I'm going to have 10. If I have one, I'm going to have all of them. This is exactly where I came from. And all my videos in the past talk about that, right? Like I am a binger. I am a person. And we create these big identity statements around this too. Like, this is who I am. I just know this about myself. We, in our coaching, we talk about it like we're just saying the news. We're just like telling the news, this is just, hi, I'm Sherry. I'm a binge eater, right? Or I'm an overeater or whatever. And this is exactly what we're talking about with the idea that over time, we can shift that identity just with practice, like trying a new thing. Seeing if truly it ends up being this huge binge that you can never come back from, because we always do. That's the thing. Like some people will give up forever because they can't get to the flavor part of it, or they have challenges at home and they just don't want to try. And that's okay. That's their journey. But for those of us who are in it to win it, every single thought that we have is changeable about it if we can start to work through it and we can start to play, like you said, like play with the idea of, well, maybe I could be a type of person who doesn't get Coke on flights anymore, or doesn't get the pretzels on flights anymore. Let me just try it, see what it's like. That is what we call in our coaching kind of a bridge thought or a ladder thought. Like, I've always been the person who always got the pretzels, but maybe I could be the kind of person who doesn't get the pretzels, right? It's not saying like I'm the kind of person who doesn't ever get anything on flights anymore, because that's not believable. You're not going to believe that. But if you think to yourself, like, I'm open to seeing if it could possibly happen, you're giving it one little shot. You don't have to be that person forever, but you just try it. And the first time you try it, you go, I didn't die, or like you, not eating until 2 p.m. Like, oh, wait a minute. Actually didn't die when I did that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We were my husband and I went to the movies the other day, and he got the big popcorn, and which that used to be our thing. We'd work through a tub or two of popcorn.
Yeah.
But he got it, and I was like, permission granted. I can have some if I want it. And I sat there with my decaf coffee and was drinking that because it was cold in the theater. And I thought, I can have some. He's crunch, crunch, crunch. I'm just permission granted. But I watched the movie, and then he put the popcorn down, and I thought, oh, okay, I could pick it up and eat it now because these thoughts went through my mind, but just left it there. Long story short, I didn't end up having any because I just didn't.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a struggle. It was just this kind of playing with the idea. It's like, it'd be nice. It'd be good, but I didn't go with it long enough to act on the urge. And it didn't even feel like an urge. It didn't feel hard at all. It was just like thoughts.
And the thought wasn't, if I have some of that, I'm never going to be able to stop, or I never stop when I have popcorn, or, it wasn't a thought of, oh my God, I can't control myself around popcorn. It was, I can have some if I want it. Sure. Right. Nope. And there's no judgment. It's totally fine if I have some. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just the difference in thought there, that
that's freedom.
Yeah. I
don't feel like I have to stick my head in the popcorn and eat it.
Yeah.
Where there have been times when that's the way I felt.
Yeah.
Because of what I was thinking. Didn't realize it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first of all, just being aware of those thoughts, I think, is so important. And then that's when we start to dig into how to be able to change those thoughts, which is what we do in our coaching. So tell me, so we're talking a little bit about struggles, and then we were talking a few months ago when you got back from one of your trips. We were talking on the Patreon call because Nancy's also in the Berry Buddies level, which is the only place you can really get group coaching right now. She's been a loyal member of that level even before she worked for me, but we were kind of talking about how hotels and traveling were pretty normal for you. Like that felt like your norm, but being home for a period of time was not normal. So tell me about that struggle a little bit.
When I'm in the hotel room, it's just funny because there aren't as many options there, but when I'm home, it just felt different at that point. So I had, I think I had been at a new low weight and just kind of gave myself I offered myself the thoughts, and I believed them, that I can have a little extra of this and that, and I need extra protein because I'm exercising more, and just, made up stuff, magical thinking. So I would dip into the peanut butter jar a little too often, and or dip into it instead of just use it in a recipe, and that. So just added, a little more nutrient or calorically dense things, and it had an effect on my weight. So I got coaching on it, and there's a note in my pantry that still sits there that says, nuts do not serve my health goals. Mm-hmm. I had weight goals, but then really the whole reason I'm doing this is for health. Spurred on by family genetics, etc.
Yeah.
So it's really about healthy and how I feel, the energy it gives me. So anyway, so that's what I got the coaching that really helped. It's the mindset that I have. So if I get in that kind of thinking again, I've got that little note there, and I can coach myself on it. And okay, what are you thinking? So
yeah. And I think I was doing an interview with somebody earlier today. You guys will see it. Her name is Rebecca. She's amazing. She was talking about that idea of, Nancy, when we talk about coaching too, it's the same thing. Like, you learn something, it changes you, changes your thoughts a little bit. Then you add another thing on top of it. You learn another thing about it, another like layer, if you will. You add that on top and that on top and that on top until whatever that struggle you used to have is no longer your struggle anymore.
Mhm.
And that might take a week. It might take 6 months. It might take, I don't know, 7 years like it's taken me, but you keep learning new things and adding it on top of the knowledge that you had before. But before you know it, you're kind of, that struggle is behind you a little bit. And that's what we talk about with just keep going. Like, just keep working on the things and just keep finding the next thing that's going to bring you there. Understanding that those times in between can be kind of painful. And that feeling is normal. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay for things to be hard and difficult. And we can still be successful even when things are hard and difficult. But yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your kind of some fun recipes. Maybe you have some, because on these interviews, I always like to give the audience something to go home with. So do you have a couple of recipes? And guys, I'm going to ask her for a couple of recipes if she can share with us. And I'm going to put them into a cheat sheet for you, like I typically do with as many videos as I can, where if you sign up for the cheat sheets, you can get this PDF of these recipes all broken down for you. You just got to sign up at thewateringmouth.com/cheat sheets. And then you can get this one for this recipe, and then you can get all the rest for all the previous videos. I've done every what I eat in a day or recipe videos, things like that as well. So Nancy, are there a couple of recipes that you could share with us that you're loving lately, or that you like to take with you when you're going to family gatherings or anything like that?
Sure. One that I've used for my little sweet pea, my granddaughter, is a pumpkin muffin, and you can vary it by putting blueberries in it, or you can make it with carrots or bananas, or you can just change things up with it. And it's a good one. Make little muffins, and she likes those.
Oh, good.
Handy to have in the car too. I'll send them with Kent sometimes.
Yeah.
And then another one that's really good for events where you have to take a dish or whatever, is a spinach artichoke dip.
Ooh.
Rich recipe, but instead of cream cheese, it has cashews and tofu. And it's very yummy, very terrific on celery and carrot sticks or pita chips if you eat those. So it's a wonderful recipe. You heat it up, and you could even put it on baked potato. You could use it for your stuffing your potato.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, that's something I've been missing, is like a good spinach artichoke dip. So I'm excited to see that one. So as I said, I'm gonna put the actual broken down recipes into the cheat sheet for you, so you can pick that up. wateringmouth.com/cheat sheets. Let me ask you just one final question. Do you have anything else you want to share with us? Your struggles or anything, or encouragement or anything like that?
The best advice that I know of is be sure you have that huge salad every day. It's when I think I can skip that, or I have a smaller salad, or I just can't get to my huge salad that literally can take me 45 minutes to eat. It's like a feed bag, but it's like where all the nutrients are, my body just loves that. So when I skimp on that, that's when I can feel that afterwards. But I think the greens are the secret to the energy. And I remember during that first challenge, I would wake up and I'd just have all this energy. It's like, I gotta go do something, because it's life. It's so, the foods are so vibrant, as opposed to, dead processed stuff that we used to get at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So
that's a great tip. I always forget to mention that one, but I do think, eat your greens. That's it. And also, when I do the challenges, it is about like tons of greens and smoothies if you can, and then tons of greens and salads. And I often think that people think they're having large salads, just like you said, like people think they are. Right. They have no idea. Right? It's not just like, take 3 or 4 leaves of romaine and chop them up and, like you make a lot of volume. No, it's like take 5 times that, chop it really small, You stuff it
Exactly.
into a bowl kind of a thing. Yeah. That's, that's,
Exactly.
that's a great tip. I do think that makes a huge, huge difference.
Yep.
Um, okay. So that's what we have. I hope you guys got some really good tips out of it. I know I always learn stuff when I talk to Nancy, and I'm so excited for you guys to get that pumpkin muffin recipe and the spinach artichoke dip as well. Make sure you sign up for that at thewateringmouth.com/. And don't forget, the 21-day challenge is open for registration right now. You must sign up. You are not going to regret it. So many people have gotten amazing results on it. Weight loss, health, feeling vibrant, having more energy, and really learning how to stick to the Nutritarian diet long term. That's what these challenges are for. They remove all the thinking out of 21 days for you, so you don't have to think about a single thing, what you're going to eat, what you're going to get. It's all there, all right? Sign up for the Watering Mouth 21-day challenge right now. Only open for registration for another couple days. So follow the link down below in the description or above, and we'll see you in the challenge. Thank you so much, Nancy. I really appreciate
Well,
this. This was great.
thanks.
Bye.
Hey.